just taking again advantage of Nony's indecision at this point to come over and crush the mineral only, doing a very good job here. He's unsieged the tanks. All he has to do is wait for Nony to commit, and then he needs just to bring his tanks in near to the forces from Nony and siege up. But Nony does look like he's getting in position now. His forces are split up. He's got one large group in the middle and one smaller group at the top. He's just waiting for that other group to come in. By the way, the dropship has scouted Nony taking the island at the bottom left. And finally, Nony is committing to an attack, and this looks like it's going to go straight into Artosis' natural. Just before that, though, Artosis had sent out some SCVs to transfer to the bottom right. But massive attack coming in now. This is almost a maxed Protoss army just heading straight into the natural, and it's going to take a lot of losses here because there are mines preventing the forces in. Artosis is going to come in. Not often you see a flank from the Terran player on either side of the Protoss player, but this is exactly what's happening. The Storms go over the Vultures instead of the tanks, so the tanks are going to be able to blast the Dragoons and then siege up and move in closer. And if only Artosis had some tanks on the cliff, he could be doing so much damage right now to that Dragoon army. But the tanks that he does have are coming in behind. Nony just needs to keep the Dragoons out of the way. He's got one group of Dragoons over by the natural, and yeah, just moving his forces in. He's conserving his army for as long as he can, just do as much damage before the tanks show in to blast him. And finally, we've got 3 tanks sieging up on the cliff. Those tanks are going to be able to do plenty of damage on the Dragoons while they're there. But a storm goes off and takes out the cliff tanks, so that's a quick thinking move by Nony. But finally, we've got some tanks coming in and sieging. There's not too many places left for the Protoss player to run at this point, and those tanks are just going to start blasting and blasting. And oh my god, that's just a Dragoon massacre right there. So Artosis doing fairly well defending himself. He doesn't have to worry too much about that command center there because there were no minerals remaining at the natural. And still, Nony has really got the left-hand side of the map only. He can't really count on the bottom side of the map as his main. The only really point of having his main there is just to keep his tech up so he doesn't have to rebuild any of that stuff, and obviously all of his pylons. But all of these probes and so forth can't do anything because there's no resources at the bottom of the map anymore, and Artosis has kept his seal over that area intact. So Artosis is now in a position where he can just push across the map and try to actually put some pressure on the 9 o'clock. But Nony has still got a large number of units. He's rebuilt a lot of gateways at the 9 o'clock, and he's able to reproduce these units very quickly, moving into just thwart this attempt by Artosis to put the pressure on. And he's just losing these tanks very, very quickly from these storms. So very good storm placement by Nony. He's doing a great job with this Reaver. Sorry, not this Reaver. This Dragoon. Dragoon Hydro. Zerg. What? Dragoon and High Templars, I think that's the name of the units. God, man, when you're a commentator and you're commentating on games like this so quickly and there's so much to say, I mean, you inevitably get unit names and player names and building names mixed up. Another large attack coming in at just outside the natural expansion for Artosis. And Nony is in a good position, but he's losing a lot of units here, so the attack's not going to put on that much pressure. But it is a little bit of pressure, and Artosis is going to have to just keep staying in the game here. Just keep macroing up and try to defend. I'm just a bit worried because Nony has managed to break through to come down to this bottom right expansion, and this is a key expansion for Artosis because it's the expansion which has the most resources remaining on it. He's been mining it for the least amount of time, and he needs to hang on to it because there's not a lot of places he can move to at this point. With Nony still keeping control and hanging around in the middle of the map. Meanwhile, Nony's actually expanding at the top left, but Artosis trying to defend with only a few tanks, and these Zealots are going to be very good against the tanks. My god, the Zealots actually dragging mines over the tanks and still taking them out. Reinforcements have arrived. It's down to 2 Dragoons, so the 5 tanks, that are there have been able to take it out, and SCV's going back to minerals. Just need to take a deep breath. This game is actually turning into a long game. I anticipate this being a long game indeed, just the way it's shaping up. So I'm just going to have to pace myself very carefully here, otherwise I'm going to lose my voice and run out of breath. Interestingly, Artosis has taken the 12 o'clock and has sieged up some tanks above the cliff and is walling it in, almost as if that was an early game wall with just the 2 supply depots and barracks. So that's actually quite a clever move by him. Only needs a couple of tanks to really defend that, and if Nony was to move out with his entire group, he'd lose a lot of forces trying to take out that 12 o'clock. In the meantime, Artosis coming in with vultures and just picking off the photon cannons with the sheer amount of vultures he has, so brute forcing the photon cannons, and he's taking them out. Oh my god, the vulture's actually going to be able to slaughter these probes. There's a lot of probes being lost for Nony. Nony's tried to attack at the 12 o'clock, but he realizes he can't get through there because there's just too much in the way in terms of defense. The tanks are in just too good a position for him to go up and do any damage with that wall there. So Nony, just a little bit indecisive there. Didn't defend against the vultures. Didn't attack. Oh, I've actually missed something. Nony was actually planning a storm drop there. So wow, massive amount of storms there. I'm not sure how many SCVs it killed, but I pretty much I didn't notice that. Sorry guys, the camera wasn't there. I was checking out something else, but just goes to show what a multitasking fest this has turned into. But Artosis still survives with his 12 o'clock. So with that side of the map, if he can secure both of those 12 o'clock bases, he's going to be in a very strong position, because Nony, once again, he's only got the left-hand side of the map. He's lost all the probes up at the top left, and he's going to eventually mine out the bases at the left-hand side of the map. So that will mean that Artosis would have 4 bases to Nony's 3, and possibly 4 at the top left, and that will turn into a very even game, which I would give an advantage to Artosis with. Wow. Whew. So yeah, just catching my breath again. Let's just take a step back and just take an overview look at what's going on. Well, Nony has lost the Nexus at the top left. He has still got expansions at the 9 o'clock and at the island at the bottom left. Artosis has actually mined out the island, but he's got the dropship ready there to ferry over the SCV. So Artosis being very conservative with his SCVs and always getting them mining at the right spots and mining at the places where there are a lot of minerals to harvest. And that's a very effective play. He's going to have to be conservative too, because with the game turning into the style of game that it is, minerals could be scarce after a while. So you really just want to spend them effectively and try and get some cost efficiency going. An attack going through the middle of the map, there's not too many forces to defend. Oh, yeah, maybe they are. Yeah, there's plenty of tanks there to defend. So this force by Nony is actually getting crushed, and not without putting some storms down. A lot of High Templars, but those High Templars just getting smoked down by the tanks. So that's an extreme amount of gas that just got lost by Nony. Nony's is obviously got a couple of depleted geysers and a couple more bigger ones, taking the top left. So that's going to be a key expansion for Nony. He's got tons of minerals remaining at the bottom, the island at the bottom left, but it's that expansion at the top left which Artosis is easily able to is most easily able to assault, which is what I wanted to say. So we'll see how that goes. Nony thinking about putting an attack in on the 12 o'clock, but again, there's the entrenched tanks. If Artosis wants to, he can just unsiege and move up to defend, and that looks to be what he might do. He's got some forces moving through the middle of the map, and still transferring those SCVs over with the dropship. It just hasn't quite got the multitasking to pull that off as well. A large group of tanks, pushing through. This is what I was talking about earlier. Artosis really thinking about keeping the tanks together and pushing them across to try and take out this expansion at the top left. And that's a good idea. I think pushing the tanks across in that way and taking out this expansion at the top left once and for all, well, maybe not once and for all, but for now, is the best option that Artosis has. There's a few other things that he could do potentially, but I think this is his best option, because he can take up that Nexus, and it denies Nony another base and gives Artosis a chance to just continue to harvest from the 12 o'clock and put himself in a position where he can keep the macro management even and just prolong the game into such a point where he has the better position and more resources available to him than Nony. So I think strategically that's what we're seeing here, and unfortunately those Dragoons up the top being just shoved to the side, they can't move in range of the tanks, and soon they're going to be forced into a position where they have to move. They can't stay put, otherwise the tanks will be in range. I think we have reached that position now. Yeah, the Dragoons forced to move in, the tanks are going to slaughter them. There we go now. So blam, there goes the last Dragoon. Wow, so that expansion is going to be taken out. Unfortunately, Artosis has left his bottom right expansion unprotected, so if Nony has any units to commit to that, he should be able to take it out. But Nony's forces are still grouped up at his natural. He's only got 2 Dragoons down there, so all that Artosis needs to do is move some forces over, and that's indeed what he's doing. He's got the fast vultures heading down there now. They should be able to deal with that threat. Taking a look at the 12 o'clock, Artosis sent across some command centers, so he looks like he's keen to take out that 12 o'clock natural and continue his macro economy effectively. He's got a large group of units here. He should be able to keep maintaining that large count. And meanwhile, Nony's also having to tighten his belt a bit and just ration the minerals that he's getting, because he's not going to be able to stay on those 3 bases that he's got for too long with the amount of probes that he's got, I think. So Nony moving up through this minefield, maybe looking to clear that just to give himself another opportunity to retake that top left. And we'll see how he goes about doing that. We've got 2 tanks left over for Artosis just defending, just to take advantage of the fact that he's already put some mines down there. Just so the fact that you've got the tanks waiting there just allows you to get a little bit of bang for your buck while the Dragoons are trying to clear the mines. You have the tanks there ready to get some free hits in, which is a good